Episode 2 Review: Attack of the Clones. The year is 2002, and the anticipated sequel to the disappointment that was The Phantom Menace was unveiled. Many promises of action, romance, and a better story were made. Overall, this was set up to be something new and different. In addition to this, the story was promised to be darker and edgier. With the promise of a darker and edgier film, many held their breaths in anticipation, once more hoping that Attack of the Clones would be an improvement over the failed and controversial Phantom Menace. There was hope for Star Wars yet again. Does this film make up for the mess that was the Phantom Menace? Or is it just as bad as the first installment of the prequel trilogy? Is it possible that this film is even worse than the last one? Let's find out. I can't deal with this film. I'm seriously gonna need help if I want to get through this. Hey, bro, get in here!
What do you want? Wait, are you reviewing? Is it another Star Wars movie?
Yeah, and I really need your help. See, it's Attack of the Clones, and I want you to know that I only watched it because I had to review it. So, what do you say? Are you gonna help me, or are you gonna help me?
Are you serious? Another prequel film? Well, at least it's...
No! Don't say it. It's not better than The Phantom Menace. Alright, we have to start off somewhere, so we might as well start off with the characters. If you can even call them that. Obi-Wan returns, and he is very different from how he was in The Phantom Menace, yet still not the wise master that he was from the original trilogy. He's much more calm and reserved, while still demonstrating some of his rash behavior during his various duels. In contrast to his previous headstrong and stubborn characterizations, Obi-Wan is much more careful in his behavior. In fact, he often overthinks and overanalyzes everything, which gets him into a lot of trouble. He is far too reliant on the Force, and tries to control the outcome of everything based solely on how he senses shifts in the Force. One possible explanation for this huge change in his behavior could be PTSD from watching his master die in the last film, and being helpless to do anything for that situation.
Anakin returns in this film, and in this one, he does have more character than in The Phantom Menace. Anakin is supposed to be an arrogant, stubborn Padawan, which he is, but he's not supposed to be emo. Half of his characterization deals with him being a creepy stalker for Padme, whom he apparently dreams about constantly. See what I mean by creepy? The other half has him be arrogant. He pulls it off nicely, though. An excellent example of this arrogance is in the first chasing of the film, when Anakin and Obi-Wan are chasing an assassin. Anakin takes the wheel in a ship, and he's constantly telling Obi-Wan that he is sure on where to go and what to do. There are numerous instances in which Anakin gloats or is proud of being right, and another scene demonstrates that the Jedi Council themselves are unsure of Anakin's fate because of his growing arrogance. In addition to this arrogant characterization, Anakin has no sense of self-responsibility, meaning that he is constantly blaming Obi-Wan for everything that goes wrong, saying that Obi-Wan is holding him back and ruining all his chances. See what I mean by emo?
The last prominent character is that of Senator Padme Amidala, the former queen of Naboo. Last time, she was robotic and seemingly emotionless. This time, she's all of that, and she gets a pointless love story. See, in this film, the viewer is told that she's a skilled politician, who, because of her skill, is targeted for death by the Separatists. Though, that is rarely ever seen on screen. Her main plot in the film deals with how she reacts to Anakin, who she hasn't seen in 10 years. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, she falls in love with him, and their conflicting love is the main point in their story. In the final fight in the Colosseum of Geonosis, however, she does kick just as much alien butt as her two Jedi companions, and demonstrates that she isn't just a pretty face and fan service.
There are many secondary characters in this film, the most important ones of which are Jar Jar Binks, the various politicians including Chancellor Palpatine, and the Jedi Council. In this film, Jar Jar isn't a comedic relief character, but instead, he's a representative of his home planet of Naboo. He's able to convince the entire Senate, somehow, to grant Chancellor Palpatine emergency powers to create an army for the Galactic Republic to fight the droid army of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. I'm pretty sure there was supposed to be more evidence of him being the big bad Sith Lord hiding in plain sight. Speaking of Darth Jar Jar...
No! We still can't talk about that.
Oh, come on, please.
Look, no, there is no time.
But this is more evidence, it's more proof.
I said no. The Jedi Council has an important role in this film. Well, more important than the role they had in the first film anyways. The prominent members of the Jedi Council are Grand Master Yoda and Jedi Master Mace Windu, who spend most of their time contemplating the will of the Force and trying to assist Obi-Wan in his mission by giving him advice. This all leads to the climax of the film, when all the Jedi Masters arrive on Geonosis to participate in the large final battle. In contrast to their more passive role in the last film, the Jedi tell the viewers that they are exhausted by all the rebellions going on by the CIS, thus demonstrating that the Jedi can fight when needed.
The politicians and Palpatine are the last of the important secondary characters. In the beginning, the very senators and politicians are all fighting amongst each other. The Jedi constantly say how they don't trust any of the politicians, with Anakin telling Padme that the political system just doesn't work, and that there needs to be someone to tell everyone what they need to do. Chancellor Palpatine is someone similar in this regard, though he's constantly telling the Jedi that he can't do anything because his hands are tied because the Senate can't decide a thing.
Let's move on to the antagonists. The main antagonists of the film are Jango Fett, the bounty hunter in charge of assassinating Senator Adala, and the generic template for the clone army of the Republic, Count Dooku, a Jedi turned Sith, and the Separatists. Jango has very little characterization other than being the muscle for the CIS, though I will admit he puts up a really good fight against Obi-Wan. Count Dooku was the Sith Lord in charge of the CIS, and he demonstrates a fake air of a gentleman nature. It's very interesting to note that Dooku was the Jedi Master of Qui-Gon Jinn and the Padawan of Master Yoda. The Separatists are composed of the Trade Federation and members of the Bacon Clan, along with other politicians that deflected from the Republic.
Speaking of Jango, I guess you could say he should have quit while he was ahead. Huh?
Just keep going.
Fine. You're so sour. So, now that we have the characters out of the way, let's talk about the film itself. The stakes are made very clear from the start, with threats of the galaxy separating into two. The CIS, led by the former Jedi, Count Dooku, and the Galactic Republic, led by Chancellor Palpatine. Throughout the film, there was a large focus on the budding romance between Padawan Anakin Skywalker and Senator Padme Amidala, along with Obi-Wan's investigations of a mysterious clone army being made under orders of a long-deceased Jedi Master, Sifo Dyas, along with the looming threat of a galactic civil war.
Look, this film just does not deliver at all. Honestly, the pacing is better than in The Phantom Menace, but there is very little payoff to any of the events that happened. Let's just put this into some perspective. The viewers are told numerous times of various events or abilities that are never elaborated on. In the first scene with Palpatine, we're told the Jedi are exhausted by numerous rebellions and outbreaks they have to put down. In addition, the opening crawl tells us that Padme is a skilled politician who is so good that the CIS wants her dead. Also, Anakin's attack on the Tusken Raiders ends abruptly soon after he begins attacking them. Also, there are various older adventures that Anakin and Obi-Wan had between the two films. All of these events, they are not elaborated on. They aren't explained, and it's all up to the viewer to imagine what happened, to see how they impact the film and how they impact the trilogy as a whole.
Even though the pacing is an improvement from The Phantom Menace, it's still a mess, and many scenes get cut before we get any actual payoff. The film itself is approximately 142 minutes. First action scene is 15 minutes into the film, and it's a chase scene. This 10-minute scene is full of conveniences, inconsistencies, and contrivances that are ignored and written off as the will of the Force, whatever that means. Jango Fett and Obi-Wan have their first fight about an hour into the film, and yet their fight only lasts about 2 minutes. After that, there's a chase scene, which honestly isn't that fun. It's just a cut and paste from the chase scene in Empire with the asteroids. So that's not great. Count Dooku doesn't make his first appearance until 90 minutes into the film, and even that, it's a minor appearance. The epic battle in the Geonosis Coliseum that was featured in almost every trailer and was set up as the main appeal of the movie begins 105 minutes into the movie. The Jedi show up about 5 minutes after that scene starts, and the entire Coliseum battle itself lasts approximately 5 to 7, 10 minutes if you're being generous. But either way, it's really a disappointment. And the final battle between the droids and the new clone army, along with the final duel between Anakin, Obi-Wan, Dooku, and Yoda at the end, lasts about 15 minutes, which is even shorter than the final battle in The Phantom Menace. Really, Lucas, you gotta set things right, man. Come on, really.
Even forgetting about how the film is paced, there are so many problems with the overall plot that will affect the way you view it. For starters, it is never explained why there are so many rebellions, or why the CIS even wants to split apart from the Galactic Republic in the first place.
Seriously, like what? Did Dooku say, let's bail to the politicians? And then the ones that did want to leave to form the CIS were like, okay, or what? I mean, a little explanation would have been nice, really.
The romance subplot feels so forced, and the subpar acting does not help in the slightest. Padme is trying hard to hide her feelings, and Anakin is told numerous times to mind his feelings by the other Jedi. And the biggest biggest problem is this romance comes out of nowhere.
At least it's a better love story than Twilight.
No, it's not.
Fine, don't get angry. Having two plots is the main problem. Half of the plot is devoted to Anakin and Padme's budding romance, and the other half is devoted to Obi-Wan's various adventures to find the truth about the clone army and Padme's would-be assassin. This is a huge issue with the film because of how it was handled. As soon as one part was becoming interesting, which rarely happened by the way, it would shift to the other half of the plot, and so on, removing the viewer from thoroughly enjoying the film. By the time that the two halves join together, the viewer has lost interest in the plot and is reluctant to keep watching.
Overall, there are so little redeeming qualities to this film. And no, the final Colosseum battle doesn't count as a redeeming quality, because that scene is too short and doesn't provide enough payoff for everything else you had to watch to get there. The music in this film is average, and there is very little standing out and almost nothing that is iconic like the Imperial March or the Duel of Fates. In the end, I have to say that this film is garbage. There is no way around that, no defending it. Oh, and in case you were wondering, guess what? As a Star Wars film, it's still garbage! What makes it even worse is that this film directly connects to the next one, and it foreshadows future events of the original trilogy. So you can't even skip it like episode 1. You're forced to watch this monstrosity!
At least we get the Jedi mullet from Obi-Wan. That's cool, right? Okay, I guess not. Let us know what you guys thought about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
And if you've never seen it, I so wish I could be you right now.
I made that joke last time.
This isn't a joke. I watched this film to make this review, and I regret it so much. You know what? I'm done. I'm done with this review. I'm done with this film. You sign us off. I'm done.
Okay, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share. Is that it? Is that fine? I don't know.